What if the very advice that's supposed to unlock your destiny is actually the cage keeping you small? Tonight, we'll peel back 6 hidden truths about purpose, including one that shows how chasing the perfect calling can wreck your mental health. Keep watching, because by the end, you'll know a 15-minute habit that rewires your brain for meaning almost overnight. Most of us grow up hearing we each have a single, predestined calling. Find it or stay unfulfilled forever. Trouble is, the numbers don't back that fairy tale. Large-scale surveys show barely 1/4 of U.S. adults claim a crystal-clear sense of purpose, and the figure drops below 15% for people under 30. That means the overwhelming majority are, by definition, off-script, yet the planet keeps turning. So why does the one true passion gospel stay viral? Because it sells. Self-help influencers can charge 4 figures for masterminds promising to reveal your why. But every time a guru presents a tidy treasure map, they ignore the messier reality uncovered by developmental psychologists. Most purposeful lives unfold in chapters. In longitudinal studies, adults who report high meaning at 50 often describe entirely different focal points, sometimes different careers, than they held at 30. Purpose, it turns out, shapeshifts with experience. The passion myth also fuels hidden shame. If you're 25 and still sampling jobs, social feeds imply you're behind. In truth, the sampling phase is how humans calibrate strengths to real-world feedback. No amount of journaling can substitute for running experiments in the wild. That's why elite military programs rotate recruits through multiple specialties before locking in a role. Agility beats premature commitment. But if the one passion story is shaky, what actually happens inside your brain when you do feel purposeful? Neuroscientists once believed meaning was a fuzzy, philosophical add-on. Now we know it's biologically concrete. A 2015 Nature paper found older adults with a strong sense of purpose, cleared stress hormone cortisol faster after a public speaking ordeal, literally recovering in minutes instead of hours. Newer Mayo Clinic reviews explain why. Purpose activates the parasympathetic rest and digest loop, dialing down amygdala alarm signals and lowering baseline anxiety. Here's the paradox. The very circuitry that protects us can also backfire. When we chase an imaginary ideal, say, believing we must save the planet or bust, dopamine spikes with every motivational video, then crashes when real life feels ordinary. Over time, that roller coaster mimics addiction. Higher highs, steeper lows, growing tolerance. Clinicians even have a label for the come-down: purpose anxiety. Brain scan data shows chronic strivers keep the default mode network revving after work hours, replaying "Have I done enough?" loops that sabotage sleep. The brain can't distinguish a woolly, unreachable goal from a saber-toothed threat. It just stays on alert. In short, meaning done right is medicine, but meaning chased wrong is cortisol in a nicer costume. And that cortisol crash now has its own social media hashtag. Scroll TikTok, and you'll find tens of millions of views under variants of hashtag purpose anxiety and whoa, lost 20-somethings. Off the app, the feeling is measurable. Harvard's 2023 Feeling Adrift report found 58% of U.S. young adults said they lacked meaning or direction in the previous month, and those same respondents showed double the rates of anxiety or depression compared with peers who felt purposeful. Even high-achieving teens aren't immune. An Indiana University poll last year logged 56% of American teenagers who felt intense pressure to have their entire life map settled, college, career, relationships, before graduation. Psychologists note the irony. At the brain's peak for exploration, cultural messaging demands finished answers. Creators cash in on that dread. Find your why in 24 hours. Challenges promise quick fixes yet reinforce the fear of choosing wrong. Meanwhile, algorithms reward extreme testimonies, stories of 20-year-olds who claim they're already behind, magnifying the sense of emergency. The result is a generation fluent in self-diagnosis, but starved for patient experimentation. But youngsters aren't the only ones being sold a shortcut. Whole corporations are too. Search purpose-driven marketing, and you'll drown in glossy case studies. Purpose Brands Industry Roundup highlighted 50 major campaigns in a single year positioning products as social crusades. Amazon Ads 2025 Higher Impact Study shows 79% of consumers say they're likelier to buy from brands whose values mirror their own. But 87% also believe companies should do their part, beyond slogans. Enter purpose washing, grand mission statements plastered over layoffs, lawsuits, or carbon spikes. One tech giant ran people-first commercials weeks before slashing staff. A beverage brand aired planet-saving ads while its plastic footprint grew. The backlash is swift. Watchdog accounts on X, formerly Twitter, now track ESG hypocrisy in real time. For viewers, the lesson scales down. If billion-dollar firms can miss their own purpose memo, maybe the idea of one perfect banner under which we march forever is flawed. Authenticity seems less about declaring a permanent credo and more about aligning actions, iteratively, which begs a new question. If purpose evolves, how exactly do we build it without getting trapped? The John Templeton Foundation's Psychology of Purpose review argues that meaning behaves like a developable life skill, refined through cycles of action, reflection, and revision, much like learning a language or a sport. Think of it as agile software for the self. Ship version 1.0, collect real-world data, push an update. Across 30 studies cataloged in that paper, purposeful adults shared 3 habits: experimentation, testing projects in the real world rather than endless introspection; reflective debrief, asking, what lit me up, what drained me, after each sprint; story editing, updating their personal narrative to integrate new data. Instead of finding purpose, they craft it. Failures become feedback, not verdicts. Careers pivot, identities remix, but directionality strengthens. The process also inoculates against the shame loop, because ambiguity becomes a feature, not a flaw. And that insight unlocks the tiniest, most overlooked lever of all. This month, UC San Francisco researchers published results from the Big Joy Project, a global study tracking 17,600 participants who performed daily microacts, tiny gestures of kindness, gratitude lists, or sharing a proud moment. After just 7 days, subjects showed significant drops in perceived stress and measurable improvements in sleep and overall well-being. Why does a small act beat a lofty vow? Because the brain rewards completed loops. A 15-minute purpose hit, tutoring a sibling, fixing a neighbor's bike, delivers immediate dopamine and oxytocin without the pressure of re-engineering your entire life. Stack enough micro-purposes and patterns emerge. Suddenly, you spot themes you'd never see from the couch. Gen Z is already hacking this intuitively. The 2025 Gen Z Wellbeing Index notes a surge in offline hobbies, woodworking clubs, urban gardening, that correlate with higher resilience even amid economic uncertainty. Micro-purpose doesn't require quitting your job. It requires carving pockets of meaningful contribution inside any day. Closing hit. So let's rewind the 6 untaught truths. The passion myth. Most people don't have a single lifelong calling. Your brain on purpose. Meaning regulates stress, but chasing a mirage destabilizes it. Purpose anxiety. The pressure to get it right is itself a mental health risk. Purpose washing. Even billion-dollar brands can fake it. Authenticity demands alignment, not slogans. Purpose as process. You build meaning through iterative action, reflection, and story editing. Micro-purpose. 15-minute acts of value can reboot mood, clarity, and even sleep. Maybe purpose isn't a single X on a map. Maybe it's the story you'll write after this video ends, one iterative chapter at a time. So the only question left is, which tiny chapter starts today? Thanks for watching. If this sparked an idea, smash that like, share it with a friend who's feeling stuck, and subscribe for more science-backed strategies on living a life that actually matters. See you in the next one.